Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Robby Row Show, episode 85. I got my boy Luke Weaver on the show today. Let's hear a little soundbite from Luke from today's episode.
Being smarter about throwing the changeup, it was like you got to have a third or a fourth pitch. You got to be able to mix the arsenal up and to show people that you can, throw more things at them.
May I have your attention, please?
Give me a heater.
Now listening to Clear and Mechanism.
The Robby Row Show.
The Robby Row Show.
Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome, and thank you for joining today. I appreciate you guys. So today I got my boy Luke Weaver, pitcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I met him when we were with St. Louis. We've established a pretty good friendship over the years. I think for those of you guys who follow me for a while know that. Luke was actually, I should have looked it up before I hopped on to record this introduction, but Luke was episode 3 or something. Like, he was one of the very, very first podcast episodes that I had, and it's a funny story. He got super mad at me when we recorded that because I just wanted to talk to him, and we were recording a pod. I was like, yeah, dude, we'll record for 30, 45 minutes, and I think we ended up going for an hour and a half, and he was just super... Because he's a nice enough dude to where he knew we were recording, so he's not going to say on the air, hey dude, let's go. So he just kept wearing it. But today, during this episode, we go for literally an hour and 45. I think the interview lasts, but he shot me a message before we hopped on, and he was like, dude, I'm so bored, we can go forever. So just to highlight, we obviously we're buddies, and we chat about things that don't matter, I guess, and there's a lot of things that we bring up that are kind of just nah, whatever, I don't really want to hear that. But I will say there's a ton of good information in here to unpack for the listener who's seeking out quality information. Weave's a big league pitcher, right? He's doing things the right way. He's going about it the right way, and he's constantly learning. And obviously, he's going to drop some nuggets in this episode that are extremely beneficial. And I always like talking to Luke about the game, about pitching. He's got a very interesting approach. I think he's constantly looking for ways to evolve, and it's cool to talk to him about this stuff. Just to highlight a few of the things we talk about, I think the whole beginning of the episode is kind of where he's at right now. Talk about him being traded from St. Louis to Arizona in the Paul Goldschmidt trade, and then we talk about golf. Luke's super passionate about golf. And then he goes into extreme detail about his first big league home run, because that's, I think, all he's wanted to accomplish in his whole entire career was hitting a home run. And he did it. Talks about blacking out and all that stuff. But right around after that point in the episode, we really dive into, like you heard in the soundbite, him developing a third or a fourth pitch, and talk about sequencing his repertoire to maximize his results. We talk about a few things that I'll link in the show notes regarding, I made a post on his sequence versus Manny Machado. We had a good chat about that. Talk about, like I said, that development of a third or a fourth pitch to really give himself the best opportunity to be successful. Talk a little bit about pitching mechanics, the rehab process, and then we'll cap it off at the end of the episode talking about our faith in God. And it's just a lot of good stuff. So without further ado, let's get to this episode. I think the episode's long enough. I didn't need to record this long of an introduction, but I like talking, so deal with it. All right, guys, show notes over at therobbyrowshow.com/085. Enjoy today's episode. So, dude, hey, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. I want to let my audience know that Luke Weaver is on the show. Yeah. And, dude, the last time you were on, I think, was episode, was it 3? Were you episode 3? Do you remember? You don't remember.
I'm guessing 2 or 3.
Yeah. Anyways, how much did you love that episode, by the way?
As far as content, I don't really know because I sat there and talked to myself the whole time. And the other part was we went way over the time you said we were going to do, so that left a damper, and that's probably why it's been a year since we've done it.
Oh, another thing that I want to note to my audience, and I have this screenshot, and I did screenshot it to prove it, that you said there's no time constraints on this episode. So
no, there isn't. I did say that. But
who knows what's going to happen?
I also said last time to keep it at 45, and you went an hour and 30, so it's not like my life had anything to do in that present time, so thank you for that.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
Okay. Yep.
I think it was an hour 25, not an hour 30.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Awesome.
So a lot has changed, dude, since the last time you were on the show.
Yeah, I grew a beard.
Do you really have a beard right now?
Well, nothing on my cheeks. I mean, still got nothing on the sides, but I'm rocking a mean, below average Johnny Depp look, so that's cool.
Would you say more so Johnny Depp, more so Tony Stark?
I like to think Johnny Depp because I think I'm a little more mysterious than I am blunt and abrupt.
I don't know what that meant, but we'll go with it.
Going off of like personalities.
Okay. All right. Well, I was talking
based off of characters.
Strictly facial hair style, but that's fine. Whatever.
Okay.
Speaking of facial hair styles, dude, I'm actually genuinely curious. What was getting traded like for you? Where were you at when they called you and said, "Hey, you're being traded"? And then what was your first thought?
Well, with it being the off season, you know how it goes with getting the pump on. I mean, there's a lot of places, a lot of gyms I've had to deny based off of, dumbbell racks not going up high enough in numbers, etc. So I was finally at a place that felt comfortable where I could lift the amount of weight that I felt was necessary. And
was that average Joe?
No, it's actually Globo Gym, but yeah. All right, I'm done with that. But anyways, I got done working out that day. I got back home and felt pretty accomplished as far as the workout. I was pretty tired, so decided to lay face first, starfish position. Notice it said face first, so it wasn't your typical starfish position. But
wow, you're really into this.
Would that be like reverse starfish?
I don't know. Are we talking about just laying there?
Yeah, we're just talking about laying there. Just wanted to make sure you're following me like you're there in the story, maybe virtual reality.
Nah, I maybe thought you were talking about like a yoga pose that I didn't know about. Ashwagandha?
I only know Warrior 3, but okay. All right, focus. But I was just laying on the ground, half asleep, got a phone call from a number that I didn't have, and but it said St. Louis, and so I kind of was like freaking out a little bit. And I had just missed the call, actually, and then I looked at the message, and it was the GM telling me to give him a call as soon as I could. And in that moment, my heart started racing, and I thought, here it is. This is about to be life-changing news in the baseball world. And so I called him back, and he gave me the rundown, and, we had our spiel and well wishes, and then I remember getting off the phone and being like, holy crap, this happened to me. And so I went and found my wife and couldn't really spiel what had happened. She was kind of like, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't really know. And so I told her, and she got really excited, was happy for the opportunity. And she's like, are you excited? I was like, I mean, I don't really know. Like, can I get a second to process it? Like, geez. And and so after some time of just kind of, I mean, it's a big move. You've been in that space, like as far as switching teams and all that, and so it was a cool opportunity. I know, like, just being with the Cardinals was a cool place to come up with, and they were loaded with talent, and it was just one of those times where someone had to go, and it was me, and I think it's worked out so far.
Dude, you just got in freaking interview mode there at the end. We're going to have to stop that. Wow.
All right.
but no, good answer. Appreciate it.
That was not interview mode. That was
you weren't in the beginning, and then at the end you were like, "Yep, just happy to be here and help the ball club win." All right. It is crazy though, right? Like 1 second you're comfortable and you're on your path and you're just expecting, what life throws at you in a sense of like comfort, being with the same
Absolutely.
team and knowing the same guys, and then all of a sudden like snap of the fingers, man, and it's all changed. And it's funny too, because I speak from like personal experience in the sense of it doesn't really set in, like that realization doesn't really set in until like you can actually be in the presence of like the new environment, right?
Oh, without a doubt, for sure. Like, I know for me, the first time I'm hearing this, like, I can't react and like feel one way or another. Like, my wife was kind of like, how are you feeling? It's because I'm like immediately going to like, where are we going to live? How, is everyday life going to be? Like, how are these guys going to be? How's the team going to be? How's the philosophy of the team going to be? Like, all these thoughts are racing through my mind. Like, oh, I'm going to miss like friends and the connections I've built. Like, I'm going to miss this and that. And so it's just, it all becomes overwhelming. And like you said, it doesn't all seem real until you walk into, the clubhouse and see the field and meet the guys. And then even then it's like about a little bit more of, a couple more days to go by until you're like, okay, this is actually like a real thing. Cause, growing up, you go to these like events and, tryouts and showcases, and you're in different elements, but it's like, it's all so short. And
right.
So you're just used to like popping in and out. So for me, it needed to be a little longer than, a day or two. It needed to be like the week or two, and then being like, this is set in stone. This is an actual like real thing. And now it's time to adapt.
Yeah. It was probably nice though, like getting traded with, I know you personally, you know Carson like really well, but did you know Andy at all or no?
No, I've come across him. We never got to talk that much, with our different just paths through our careers, but obviously Carson, and they
Did you call him right away?
No, he called me and was just like, dude, this is crazy. Like, it's like all fired up, and for him, I was super pumped, he's never had the opportunity to like spread his wings and just kind of like get some games under his belt. Playing behind Yachty is like not that easy to try to get games in when the guy is trying to set a lot of records. So right. I know for him, he was ecstatic. For me, it was just a little different because we had different situations, and I was, able to, pitch every fifth day and try to contribute and do those things. So, we definitely different mindsets, but having a buddy, no matter what, is always, whether you like him or not, which I do, but a familiar face is always nice to walk into a new environment with, and to, have someone to lean on through the early processes.
So I'm curious, like what was the first thought that you had in terms of like identifying that it was the Arizona Diamondbacks that you were going to? Like, was it, oh, I get to go to In-N-Out now? Or was it like, maybe I'll be closer to Robby? Or what was it?
Definitely not the In-N-Out quote. I mean, I think I've been there a couple times, but it's a good burger. Like, it's not like, I'm not going to get into that. You know how I feel. Not against it, but not for it. But anyways, I would say golf was a big one. The different style of spring training, and weather, just like environment, as far as being a Florida guy and having trees and grass and humidity and rain and all these different things, and not having basically just switching to 180 and not having any of those things, cactuses and rocks and dirt and desert.
It's super different.
100%.
But you're a Florida guy, right? So like for me, no offense, but like I can't stand Florida spring training. And I mean, you being Florida guy, is it different for you?
Yeah, for sure. Like, Florida spring training is terrible in the sense of travel and how teams are so far away from each other, and And, it's older. A lot of the complexes are older except for the ones obviously that were just built for the Astros and the Nationals. But those are two big things, just the complexes and the travel. And that over in spring training in Arizona, you get, the opposite. You have a lot of very nice. I know the Diamondbacks is like one of the nicest, if not the nicest, and I would say in the entire big leagues as far as how updated and nice it is at their spring training complex. And everything's so short. I think the farthest trip is 45 minutes, 50 minutes.
Yeah, Glendale probably, right?
Yeah, Glendale. And then that's if you're just starting that day. Like most of the time, you're not even making those trips. So those were definitely some really great things of coming out here. I always kind of miss the spring training, the Florida feel from baseball tournaments in high school, and playing in those complexes, and then all the way to the big leagues. And so that'll forever hold a piece of my heart. I'm getting emotional right now, but
my goodness.
I'm just kidding. But no, it's cool. I'm always about trying things new and adjusting and just figuring out along the way. And this has been a cool thing, and kind of ride the wave with it and find new adventures.
Dude, that's like now that and I'm sure you're the same way when you do have an injury, it sucks obviously, but it gives you a ton of time to reflect. And throughout my process, being out for a calendar year now, having a ton of time to reflect, that's the biggest thing I think I reflect on as far as the game of baseball, allows you to go to so many cool, interesting, unique places that you would have maybe never gotten the chance to go visit, just because you play a game.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Absolutely.
I didn't even think about you playing your high school stuff at those fields, because you probably played at those Jupiter fields, in high school.
Oh yeah, basically every spring training complex. There's I've kind of checked it off the list. Jupiter is one of the biggest tournaments in travel ball, for right before you hit college, the 17, 18-year-old divisions, and they'd use that huge tournament there. And we actually, on the team I was on, we actually won that tournament. The stadium field was the championship and all that. And that's just where they do all the big tournaments. Florida just being a hot spot for that. So definitely biased towards it, but give me a couple years out in the desert, might change my mind around spring training.
Hey, so when we were in 15, when we were in the fall league together, you shot your best round ever, right?
Yeah.
Tell me that thought crossed your mind, top 10 thoughts after you got traded.
Well, so I'll kind of relate that to baseball too. So I thought, okay, extra carry on driving distance, which meant shorter clubs coming into the green, which hopefully meant for lower scores. And I've been playing of late with this injury, but in spring training and early part of the year, I was playing some good golf and and the scores were on average getting lower. And you got to take what you can get. The Florida golf, it's just such different type of golf. You have so much terrain and stuff where you lose your balls off the tee box, as opposed to Florida, you can still hit it in the woods and make some miraculous shot and play your second. But that's one thing that's kicked me in the butt, is trying to put the ball in play off the tee. But so when I say that I'm tying that back into baseball, I thought about getting traded to Arizona. I go, man, ball is going to travel, but they did got a humidor or something in the Arizona Chase Field Stadium, which helped, bring the distances down, so to speak, so it became more pitcher friendly.
Wait, they have a what?
It's called a humidor, a humidifier, a giant humidifier.
No, that's a dinosaur. No, that's a dinosaur, bud.
Yeah, that sounds like it. But basically, I won't use the term since you seem to think it's a dinosaur, but it brought the elements, and this machine changed them to where it helped try to balance them as opposed to like Colorado where it's outdoor park and, those elements are what they are. And I think we all know that they speak for themselves. So when they have added this, so to speak, humidor, whatever the name of it's called, it's helped lay the playing field, if not even maybe more to the pitching side. Balls aren't traveling near as far, which I just found that out probably like a month ago.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah. I think that was implemented into this year or maybe last year. It's fairly new.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't there when I was there.
It's
not like I played there.
Oh, we've all dreamed of in our minds. Okay. So we'll cut it off there. Moving on.
So I want to talk a little bit about spring training. Stay on that topic. I want you to give my listeners kind of like I guess a brief glimpse at what a starting pitcher routine is like. And I'm not talking about in baseball. Like, what is your routine like in spring training off the field? Is it just golf as much as you can, or what do you got?
Yeah, that would be ideal. But when you have a wife and, if guys have kids and those types of things, I'm going to be careful what I say here, but basically, that's true. She already said that.
Ouch, dude. No way. Oh, hey, sidebar, funny story. Got to interrupt you. So I was in the apartment complex, the lobby, and like they throw things in the corner that people are getting rid of. And I'm walking by one day and there's this giant poop emoji pillow. And I grabbed it, dude. I'm going to send you a picture of it, actually.
Wow.
But now that I think about it, it's kind of gross, right? Because it's someone else's and I don't know who's it was. And I'm sleeping on it now.
Does it smell?
Yeah, it smells like poop, right? It's a scratch and sniff pillow.
Is it really?
No. What?
Yeah. I'm kidding.
Oh, it's funny. All right, dude, go back. What were we talking about? Spring training routine. You got a wife, so she was obviously traveling with you, and
yeah. So she's out here, and so you always pick your days to golf. Like if the schedule sets up, like you're done early that day, you might get some guys and try to go out and play, a quick 9 or 18, whatever, and get back. So that's always in the cards. But for us, with this kind of being a new area, we wanted to poke out and to see a couple things, and one or a couple things. We wanted to go to a Suns game, Phoenix Suns basketball game, and then we went to the golf tournament, the Waste Management Open, which is arguably one of the more exciting non-major golf tournaments, with the 16th hole stadium craziness and all that goes. So those are two things we want to knock off. And we also saw a hockey game. So we did 3 sporting events in the Arizona area, which was all great because when you are based out of the same place your spring training is, you're able to, go to these sporting events that normally a Florida away from St. Louis type of setup would be. You wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
So that was cool, and being able to do those things and then just pick out restaurants and go out to eat and find new spots, so to speak.
So I don't mean to be rude when I ask this question, but is golf even exciting in person?
Well, you do know that we went together, and you tell me.
Well, no, I'm talking about going to watch it. I understand the playing aspect,
to play it? To watch it.
When you go and watch, I feel like for a guy like yourself, you're just I just want to play. I don't want to watch.
It definitely motivates you to want to play, but I don't know, when you're a baseball guy and when you watch guys on TV in the sport you like to watch, or in play, I should say, it's the same thing. So I watch a lot of golf, just very much like the sport. And so when you go see them in person and you see people doing it at the highest level you could play in the sport, it's just fascinating, and just you're in awe of how consistent and how the different how the ball sounds off the club and like the different shaped shots they make and how close they get it in and how they drain such far putts. Like just seeing it up live and just knowing that these are just people like you and I, like doing the same thing as far as baseball. Like it's just appreciating one's craft in a different sport. And, you could speak on that for basketball. I know they're two different sports, and one's more high energy and action, and another one's more slow pace. But
golf
being out,
action and like more slow pace.
Yeah, totally. But like, it's more of a sport that there's an appreciation and just the finer things. Maybe it takes a more sophisticated, intelligent type of person.
Ooh, is that a dig?
I don't know. I guess I took it more as an insult than a dig.
I will say, dude, remember in 2016 when you got me sucked in, I think it was the Masters. And
oh, yeah.
I will say, dude, like it was fun, but I think for me it was fun because when they show it on TV, like there's always someone teeing off. There's always someone shooting. And like, cause they have so many different cameras. And I thought that was kind of like cool, how it like keeps you on like the edge of your seat because you're like, oh, okay, he's up next.
Absolutely.
But like in person, don't you have to like walk and go wherever the guy is that you want to see or something like that?
Yeah, but the holes kind of interconnect and tee boxes are by greens. So like you're able to like multitask and see various views, especially if there's elevation at all. And it's cool to like, and plus if there's a couple of guys that like you really like, it's really cool to watch him play. Like Bubba Watson's like a crazy, style golfer when the way he hits hooks and slices and stuff. And so like watching him and kind of walking with him along the different shots and holes, like you're just kind of like watching and seeing it live in person. You're just like, holy crap. Like,
did you get to meet him?
No. You see these guys, and it's not like, hey, how you doing? My name's Luke. Like,
well, yeah, I know how. Like when you're in the show, dude, don't you have like people making those connections, those connects?
Like it's like him coming onto the field while I'm on the mound pitching. Like, you don't do that.
No, I'm not talking about like at the event. Jeez, Pete, I'm talking like.
Be specific.
Well, I thought. Obviously, I know that you're not going to go up to him on the tee box and be like, hey, like my hair?
Sup, dude?
But like, I want to know like at events or anything, that like you got to meet any like
no,
and pick their brain because I know how much you love golf.
No, not yet. I'm trying to build up the resume a little bit more, make it worth their while. I guess it's not quite in the cards there yet. I'd hope, maybe it would happen, but I think more than anything, if that's going to happen, I want it to happen in an environment where like we can go play around the golf. Like, not just, you know what I mean? Like how sick would that be just to like watch them and like, hey, let's trade. It's not as cool in baseball, I guess. Like they can hit BP and take grounders, but it's not like.
Yeah, who wants to do that?
Maybe they would, who knows? But it's the beauty of it.
We're going to switch gears. I'm done talking about golf. I just wanted to do my due diligence.
Yeah, can't believe it went that long.
Well, because you just don't know how to stop talking. So, anyways.
Ouch.
Yeah. No, dig. Insult. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about, I know it's kind of like a damper process, you being injured and everything, but obviously for the guys that listen that follow MLB, you got off to like a really good start this year. I think that's kind of even selling it a little bit short. Like you were throwing the ball really well, obviously. And I want to kind of dive into like, was there any change in mindset as far as like going to a new team? Because I know for me personally, there was this feeling of like, I have to impress, you know what I mean? You got to make that like first impression. But even in you in spring training, like you came out of the gate firing. Was it just something like just a really good mindset to have going into it, or was it like a mechanical thing that you just kind of clicked? And I know how you are with your delivery and everything. But like take us into that process, going to a new team and getting off to a good start.
Yeah, anytime you go to a new place, you know that you want to make an impression. You want it to be good. Sometimes you can overdo that and put pressure on yourself, and things can end up going south in a hurry. But To say I didn't have, the feeling of feeling like I needed to impress people and to make myself known for the new team, like, it's an understatement, especially coming off of a year that was very disappointing with the Cardinals, and just kind of ending the year in a bad fashion. Like, I felt like there was a lot to be proved, and I had to go out there and hit the gas pedal and just not look back. And I think it helped too that there was confidence in knowing that the D-backs weren't going to do that trade unless I was in it, or that's what they've told me. And so there was confidence in knowing, like, they wanted me to be there. They believed in what they do as a team. They can help excel my craft and get me where I needed to go. So that kind of got me back on track from a confidence standpoint. I was a little nervous at first, like anybody would be, but more on the fact that, like, I needed to believe in the fact that I could go out there and get hitters out, which was what I wasn't doing in the back end of the season. So, you said I came in, hot in spring training. Well, I think I was just, like, on a mission. Like, I needed to show myself that I could still do it, that, to a team. It was just kind of like a win-win. And so I was able to go out and show them I could. And then I also built my confidence back up. And then I just continued to tell myself, like, in this game, we get so wrapped up in it being more than the game. And it just being something you go do. It just became, like, hard, and it became, like, a part of, the struggle and everyday life. So I just went out there and said, screw it, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy myself. We've had a lot of fun together over the years and playing baseball, and that's what I feel like when we played best, and I lost that for sure, especially at the big league level. Like, there's just so much pressure on you, or that you put on yourself more than anything. So I said, screw that. If I mess up, I mess up. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get everything I have, and I'm not going to look back, basically.
Hey, guys. I'm interrupting your show. It's your host here. Anyways, I want to talk a little bit about the sponsor of the Robby Row Show podcast in Pocket Radar. It goes without saying that the importance of velocity, in today's game is extremely important, right? Not for just pitchers, but for position players alike, exit velocity, all that stuff. Well, I've partnered with Pocket Radar. It's an affordable pocket radar. And you guys can check that out, including a potential discount code that you can utilize if you're interested in purchasing that. Head on over to the show notes at therobbyrowshow.com/085 to see the link and the discount code. All right, let's get back to the show.
Yeah, it's so easy to fall into that, right? I mean, like, it's so easy to sit here and say, like, the game's fun and just have fun playing it. But, like, you and I both know that it's like a totally different dynamic to actually, like, put that into action, because, like, if you're doing bad and you're struggling, it's like, it's really hard to have that outlook on the game, and that's kind of like the connection. That's like the connection that I'm trying to make, like, with my audience is, no matter how bad it gets, I think you can only make it worse on yourself by adding, like, even more internal pressure. Because I think there's obviously going to be, like, external pressure, right? Especially at the big league level. For you last year, you're in the national spotlight freaking every time you touch a baseball. So obviously there's going to be pressure there. But to be able to, like, take a step back and be like, I actually get to do this, like, I'm blessed enough to, like, be out here with a uniform on. And I think if we just kind of, like, change our mindset to the get to rather than, like, that have to mentality, right? Make it a little bit better. But wow, I just put in a cough drop type thing, and
I can hear you doing that.
I immediately regret doing that, because I was like, wait, I'm on a podcast, so I'm going to take that out. Just wanted to give you that visual of me doing that. Sweet, man. Well, let's talk about the injury process. I know it sucks. You and me both, brother. Hey, did you know yesterday was exactly 1 calendar year from the day I blew out? Can you believe that?
Jeez,
365 days already.
That's crazy, man. It, like, flies by. Or actually, probably didn't fly by.
There's certain points though, right? Like you probably can attest to this, and obviously it helps like when your wife is around and you got the big news of the pregnancy, and like there's always like, other things in life rather than failure or success. But there's like moments of it going by super fast. There's moments of it going by super slow, and it's just about how, like, what is your outlook on it? Like what are you doing to maximize each day? But I want to talk about the injury because I was watching the game. And you were freaking throwing well, man. There's actually a few IG posts that I made on you that day.
Really I got a hit that day, finally.
And you got to knock up the middle, dog.
It's the worst drought of my career at the plate. I couldn't hit a beach ball.
Speaking of hitting, our boy Jay Flair is on a tear right now at the dish. We're not worried about his pitching performance.
I did see he had been scrapping across a couple hits here and there. Have they been well struck, or pitchers can find the holes?
Yeah, like he hit a double last night. He just responded to that Instagram story I just put up. We were talking last time he was on the show. We were talking about doing a 3-way pod and just talking about like making bets on who's going to hit the next home run.
The next one. Well, make sure he knows he's got to hit one first.
Well, we gotta start this bet soon, man. Dude,
well, I'm just telling you. That's
a great question to ask you, and we'll come back to the injury process and we'll dive into that and unpack it. But that first big league home run, knowing you and your personality and how much you love hitting and how much you think you're actually decent at it, what was that like? I could take you through the entire at bat. I know exactly from memory exactly every moment that happened. I think I'm going to stand up for this. I'm going to do that like I'm in the box. I just took off my shirt.
Hold on, let me see if I can find a bat. I don't keep a bat in my house. All right, cool. I'm going to use a shoe. I'm going to use a shoe. Oh, good point.
3-wood?
No, I'm going to go with the belly putter.
I don't know what that is.
It's got lizard skin batting tape on it, so that'll give me half of a. Okay.
All right.
Man, D-backs are crushing it right now.
Wait.
All right.
Oh man, there we start.
Yeah, 7-0, 2 outs in the first.
Right.
Okay. All right. So I'm up to bat. I'm not pitching that great in the game. We're facing the Dodgers, opening the series. They're just a great hitting team. They have been playing really well. Balls are just flying all over out of the yard from previous games. I had game 4, and I think it was probably what was it? We were down, and then in that inning we were rallying back, and
you guys scored like 7, right, in that inning.
In that inning, but at the time, I think we had tied it up. It was maybe 4-4, and we were about the 4th or 5th inning. And I come up, and as part of the rally, there's a guy on base. Pedro Baez is in. He's one of the relievers. And so I step in, have an open mind. I'm not really focused on anything except just trying to square up a baseball.
Are you scared to face him? Because homeboy throws pretty cheesy.
I'm not really. It's more. I get more nerve-wracking. It's more nerve-wracking when a guy's got a crazy, deceptive release. So, like if you're on the third base side of the mound and you got some cross your body action and you're throwing hard, like that's when I kind of just say, "Here's my bat. Here's my batting gloves. I'm just gonna go ahead and walk back." That's when the old bucket gets leaked. But anyways, I'm standing there.
You, pal.
I'm standing in the box, and I'm like, all right, he's gonna obviously throw the heat. He's 95 to 100, so just be on time for the fastball. So I swing, ball bounces off the plate. I completely whiff. I go, man, that was a nasty slider. And so I check and I look at the scoreboard, and it says 95 miles an hour fastball. It's like, okay. Let's just reset here, stare at the bat, let people know what I'm doing here. Just, I made a mistake. No big deal.
Don't be a doofus.
Don't be a doofus. Step back in the box. All right, flushed it from my system. I go see the ball up this time. Just see the ball up. See the ball up. Swing, take a ginormous mammoth hack. Realize the ball ended up at my eye level, just above my cap. And that was at like 96. And at that point, I'm very, very angry. And so I step out of the box, and I remember just gripping my bat as hard as I could and being like, you are embarrassing yourself. Get it together. And I just take a deep breath. It's just like a snap, like a switch went over me. I just locked it the heck in. I step into the box. I remember doing like a cool little pregame routine, like a pre-bat routine that, isn't a routine because I don't ever do it, but I just remember doing some cool thing, and I lock it in, and I just kind of twirl the bat, and I'm just like, oh, it's game time. I go, just nice short swing, just meet bat to ball, don't do anything crazy. Step, see the ball slightly up in the zone, and I just, swing. I'm like doing the motion right now with my golf club. And I just put bat on barrel, and I remember flushing it.
You put bat on barrel?
Well, it's a terminology us home run hitters use. I put the bat on the ball. I put the bat on the ball.
I could see you in the living room right now, like with BGs on, like you just wouldn't put eye black on in the mirror.
Don't have any of that, but I would. But anyways, put bat on ball. I flushed it. That feeling, you feel when you really hit the ball perfect.
Yeah.
And I remember
feel it.
You don't feel it. And I hit it, and I remember my first instinct being like, "Heck yeah!" Like I hit it. And so I'm like, I sprint out of the box, like I don't even know where it went, and I take 2 steps, and I look up to try to track where it's at, and I see it on a good trajectory, and I'm like, oh snap, this might be a double. And so I get halfway to first base, and I'm like watching it, and as I'm getting to first base, the outfielders still keep going back. I'm like, you've got to freaking be kidding me right now. And I'm like, I started yelling, go, go, go. First base coach is staring at me, and I'm just like, can feel him like eyeing me, but I'm like staring at the ball because I'm like, bro, this might go out, so just like leave me alone. And I'm yelling, and I round first base. I'm halfway to second base, and at this point, I'm like, holy crap, I cannot believe this. And the ball immediately went over, but I didn't know if it bounced or not. I didn't believe the fact that it did, so I immediately stare at the second base umpire as I'm running. Before I touch second base, I go, give me the finger, give me the finger, give me the finger. And then he twirled the finger, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I completely almost whiffed second base. I think I remember like tapping the back of the bag barely without missing it. There's like a slight little hiccup in my stride. Anyways, I'm running to third base, and I'm down the third base coach ready to be like, what kind of handshake do I give him? Do I go low? Do I go high? I don't even know. Yeah. And so I round third, give him the old low slap, and I get to home plate. Obviously, just crazy with emotions, big smile on my face, and then I get in the dugout, and I remember just finally taking a seat and just staring at the ground with my hands on my face and being like, okay, I've dreamed of this moment my entire life, and I just hit a major league home run. I don't believe it actually happened. We'll see tomorrow. We'll check the film. And I was like, wait, I got to still go pitch. And people are like, Luke, you all right? And I'm like I'm like staring at the ground like something's wrong with me. I'm like, I just need a minute. And they're like, okay. And so I'm standing there, and I'm like, they got to take me out of this game. I can't go back out and pitch. Like, I am too overwhelmed right now. This is ridiculous. I mean, you hit a home run, you should automatically be out of the game, get the win, get all that stuff. And I'm like, crap, okay, I got to lock it back in. So I'm like trying to lock it back in. I go back out. I don't think I get to 5 innings, so I didn't even get the win. But we ended up I think we ended up winning the game. I don't remember, but
yeah, you guys definitely won.
I don't know, but I remember waking up the next day and just kind of staring at the ceiling being like, okay, did yesterday actually happen? And so I had to like go on like Twitter to like find the video and to see like, okay, maybe it was just a dream. Like I'm in San Diego now, and maybe I didn't pitch yesterday. And so I looked and I saw the video, and I'm like, okay, this is for all you people out there who thought I was too skinny and too small and had no pop and I could never do it. And I'm just having this moment being like, you can freaking shove it. And I did it. All right. And, little man syndrome type moment. And that was history. So I'll never forget that.
Did you talk to Wayno about it? Did you text him, or did he text you?
Yeah, there was a group chat with all the starting rotation at the Cardinals, like Miles, Jack, Wayno, and Waka, and he said, I remember Wayno saying something like, "Boys, Weave has a home run before all of us right now," or said something like that, like ... And all the responses were like priceless, being like, holy crap, like, ouch, and blah, blah, blah. And I go, "Boys, it's just your classic see ball, hit ball." And so, yeah, none of them have home runs this year, and I feel pretty stinking good about it.
Sorry, guys, we're going to pause the show to hear from some advertisers.
Well, I remember, like, at the tail end of spring training, Miles got one, and his reaction was freaking priceless. Did you?
Yeah. I texted him about that. I'm like, dude, I think, was it off of Scherzer or somebody?
I don't remember. I made a post about it. And I was
I remember the home run
Strasburg.
for sure.
Strasburg.
Strasburg. Yeah, Strasburg. I think he tried to gas him, and he got him on it.
Yeah, I think so.
Who cares? It doesn't matter. He had a home run. It was great.
Oh.
But yeah, we've our team, the D-backs, man, and we got some guys who could swing it, and obviously Zack Greinke I thought Wainwright was one of the better ones I've ever seen, and I mean, Zack Greinke is putting together a year at the plate that I don't know if I'll ever see again. Like, he's batting close to 300. It was 3 home runs, 6 RBIs. He's got a triple. He's got a couple doubles, and he's got a stolen base or 2. So, like, he's just redefining what it means to be a hitting pitcher, and I've got a lot of ground to gain, I guess.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I mean, shoot, man, that's like he is leading though, like, because I know there's Woodruff, right, for the Brewers. Like, he's also like a really good hitter.
Yeah, he's having a really good year
home runs,
too.
Though, right? I think Greinke's.
Yeah. There's a couple guys. I think there might be 1 or 2 with a couple home runs, but no one's got 3. And the thing with Greinke is, like, he has the scouting report on the pitcher as far as the hitting goes, and like, he knows how they're going to pitch and what their tendencies. Like, he's just a very advanced individual in the baseball world, and I'm continuing to learn and be mind blown by his conversations and his tactics.
What I want to segue, because obviously Greinke, he's got one of, I would say, like, one of the more fascinating changeups in the league, because it's like 2 or 3 miles an hour off his fastball, at least like what I've seen.
Yeah.
Have you, and you being who you are, with obviously a really dominant changeup, I have to say that because we're on the air. I think it sucks, but do you guys, like, go back and forth on, like, certain cues or grips or feelings or thought processes on that pitch?
Yeah, I mean, definitely early on. It's such a unique style pitch he throws. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything crazy about the grips or anything. I think it's pretty traditional in what he's doing. But as far as how he can get it to break that much with it, throwing it that hard, like, there's been games where he's actually thrown the changeup harder than his fastball, and by like 89 changeup, 88 fastball. So, like, there's some times where you're shaking your head and thinking, holy smokes, like, what is he doing? How does he do it? But I think he always wanted to have that kind of changeup. I think Felix Hernandez was a guy who was big on that, and that was always kind of his goal. And so the early part of his year, you would probably remember him as a fastball slider guy, one of the most dominant sliders in the league. Yeah. And then as the velo kind of went down, I think he started incorporating a changeup, and he just spent a lot of time. And he's a guy who, he won't sleep unless he's figured out exactly what he wants it to do. Like, he's just very precise on those things.
Is he super analytical too? Like, I mean, is he loving, like, the way the game's going with all the analytics and stuff?
I don't know about loving where it's going, but he loves that world. Like, he's very good at it. He's very advanced into figuring out and adjusting with what the game's doing. So it's almost like he won't let the modernized game beat him. He'll make sure he's always one step ahead of it, his thought process, which is seems like a lot of work and very tough to do. But that just comes from a lot of experience and time he's had on the diamond and through various teams and etc.
So he wants his changeup to be that hard.
Correct. Everything it's doing is exactly what he wants to do.
But then he wants to throw a 67-mile-an-hour curveball too, like.
Yeah, which is obviously, he has the most strikeouts on pitches under 70 miles an hour, and that curveball it's another thing. Like everything he does is you kind of scratch your head because he's taking a pitch and he's doing something that isn't like your normal typical way to do it, and he's got very good results with it. So it's almost like he's redefining stuff he's doing, but it's not to like try to pave a new way for other people. It's basically all about like him being able to master something that other people necessarily haven't adjusted to.
Yeah. That's so cool.
He's a magician.
I want to talk to him. I just want to geek out over something.
Dude, I mean, well, that might be a tough one. He's not a huge talker.
Perfect. I'll do all the talking.
But he's definitely like a guy who, if he were to write a book and put everything he had into it, I mean, I would 1,000% recommend every person on this earth that wants to learn more about baseball to read it. Like it's just one of the more advanced minds I think that people have seen as far as teammates and guys who have actually gotten to interact with them.
That's what I mean. Like that's the coolest part about being on multiple teams and experiencing multiple teammates and just like seeing how everyone's different and everyone, like so many people, just different things make them click, and it's just like it's so crazy 100%. How like that process of them identifying like when they're at their best or when they're not at their best and trying to just be themselves. Like it's so crazy to me because like you and I have seen people that don't know what the heck they're doing out there, but they kill it. And then we see guys that are like super smart, analytical, like having a plan and like a purpose behind every single inch of movement that they do on the baseball field, and they have success. I think that's like the beauty of baseball. Is there's so many different ways to like go about, succeeding in the game.
Yeah, you crushed that. That's right on it.
Where are you at with that? Like, because I know you've kind of dabbled in like both, and I think I would put you like kind of center cut. Like, I think you're a thinker. Yeah. But I think you identify that you're not at your optimal performance level if you're thinking like a little bit too much. So like where would you say you would rank yourself?
I think that's perfect. I think I'm right in the center, at least right now. I think you have to adapt or I don't want to say die, but like you have to adjust and make sure you're staying with the curve or ahead of the curve, and it's just part of how the game is. Like there's so much information that if you're the one lacking it, then you're the one that's going to be left behind. Like, yeah, you just have to learn how to use it in a way that best benefits you without being overwhelmed or, allowing it to, overcomplicate what you're trying to accomplish. And so I try to find the balance. I try to find like, okay, I have my scouting report, but how can I simplify my scouting report? If I have a guy who, does this, and this, well, how about I focus on the way, how to finish him and how to start him? Like, if a guy is going to go up there and hammer first pitch fastballs, well, let me throw the first pitch off speed, whether it's a curveball, whatever it is, let's say curveball. And then from there, you're always going to find ways to get to 2 strikes. But I think, as you know, like getting someone to strike out or getting them out on that final pitch is always tough because they're in defensive mode for the most part and their foul pitches off and stuff. So right. For me, it just became, all right, I have all this information. How do I start a guy? And then how do I finish him? Focusing on those things, because if I know how to finish a guy, then I can always give myself the best chance in order to get him out. and not try to essentially guess or throw pitches that I'm not that great at. Like if I were to try to bang a back foot curveball, like that's not something that I'm known to do or even necessarily have 100% confidence and skill in doing, rather than throwing a changeup to a righty or something down and in. So
how does that how do you go about that process though? Because obviously like you want to acknowledge the information, right? Like hot cold maps, like you want to acknowledge that stuff because it's factual, right? Like that's what he's telling us. And but like for a guy like you, with I would say like an above average changeup, like if the hitter sees changeup out of the hand fairly well and like can actually hit changeups, or say like a lefty with like a longer swing where a changeup could potentially be like a dangerous pitch, like are you acknowledging the scouting report to a point where like you're like, okay, I'm not throwing my best pitch here, or are you just at that point where you just say frick it, like this is my bread and butter, let's roll?
So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the toughest part. Like at the end of the day, like we have conversations, and the analytics teams, the people that are always trying to give you information, and in the talks with teammates and coaches, like you're trying to find that balance. So like if a guy just has a nasty slider and the guy is up there and hits sliders really well, like you would think not to throw the slider because he throws the slider and he's probably going to hit it. But
right.
On the other end of that, hitting's really hard. Like, 3 out of 10 times you're a legit dude. Like, so the odds are already in your favor, and you're throwing what you do best at the highest level. Like, sometimes you just say, screw that. Like, there's so much feel that goes into it, like you can get away with a lot of mistakes. You can do things that, you don't necessarily you didn't mean to hang a slider over the middle of the plate. But the guy decided to still, the guy still decided to foul it off. Like, you got away with one. Like, you shouldn't throw what you do well to the side just because the guy is really good at hitting that particular pitch. So that's where I've tried to like learn and knowing like, okay, the analytics team says maybe stay away from the changeup, but I know if I execute a good located changeup, like
it's not going to matter.
It's not going to matter. Exactly. Yes, I'll try not to do it every bat. I got to face him 3 times, and I don't want to just throw 15 changeups through 3 at bats, but I want to be able to be intentional and be convicted in the times that I feel like my best pitch is going to get him out with. Whether it's 2 strikes, whether it's, hey, here's the 0-0, you see it, you like it, and then try to get you chase with it, or just the mind game. It's just being smart about your situation.
I want to talk about that, and I don't mean to be like disrespectful in a sense, but like when you first came up to the big leagues, like you were striking a lot of people out because of the changeup, right? Like it was obviously your best pitch, and so on and so forth. But I think like as time progressed in the league for you, people like identified you as like the changeup guy. So how do you go about? Because I think you got, especially at the beginning of this season, you got to a point where like you found that happy medium, right? Like,
yes,
you found the sweet spot in the sense of, okay, if I sequence it this way, like you said, it's not going to matter. So like, what was that process like for you, kind of seeing the, going with the results from having a lot of success with the pitch, and then hitters kind of telling you one thing and so on and so forth?
Yeah. I mean, as you go up the levels, hitters start to adjust quicker. They learn faster. And at the big league level, we just talked about all the analytics and all the crazy information they have. Guys are smart. Like, they pay attention to that stuff. Hitters definitely do. Coaches do. And they're all deciphering that and making it as simple as possible. So for them to realize, hey, he's got a fastball, his changeup's his go-to, and he's got an average third pitch. Like, eliminate the third pitch, make him throw it for a strike. If he can't, then, just sit on the changeup. Like, make him show that he can throw something other than that. And, when you can just simplify a guy's arsenal and not overcomplicate things, and guys are going to get the better of you. And so for me, it became not so much about being smarter about throwing the changeup. It was like you got to have a third or a fourth pitch. You got to be able to mix the arsenal up and to show people that you can, throw more things at them than what you have. And then now they've got to go back to the drawing board and figure out, okay, they have to, So it's always a back and forth game. Like, we figured them out. Okay, now I have to figure you out. I figured you out. Now you got to refigure me out. So that's just, you see guys evolve. Like I talked about Greinke, he went from a really good slider to going to changeups, and then he learned a new curveball, and then he still has a slider. And then CC Sabathia, he's cutters and sliders and doing all these things. Like, the velocity and stuff like that will change for age and amount of innings you throw, but you always got to find ways to outsmart the other guy and all the people that are looking at the information. So I just kind of basically what I had to do. I just had to get better at throwing multiple pitches and then using those and decipher them in a way where I can game plan and get guys out more efficiently.
So what was that? Was that a frustrating process for you? Because I know, like, there's been brief glimpses, I mean, just from you and I playing together, of like you having like a really good cutter slider thing, and then you'd have like just a slider, and then you just have a curveball, and then you throw a 65-mile-an-hour curveball. And I think just through the years, like, you've kind of fought like this big uphill battle of like, okay, what is it going to be, right? Like, I know I need a third, maybe fourth pitch. What's it going to be? What's going to allow me to be successful at the highest level? So what was that process like for you as far as identifying what that was and getting to a spot in your career where you were comfortable with, 3-4 pitches?
Yeah. Well, we never want to rest, like, in the fact of knowing, okay, like, you have a good changeup, but the guy next to you has a really good curveball. It's like, well, I want that. Like, how do I get a really good curveball? You practice it. You find something that works, you go out and throw it, and as soon as it's not successful, then you feel like, now I got to do something else. And then it just kind of like an ongoing cycle. And so you get to a point where you realize, I don't need to worry about like other people's. They're good at what they do. I'm good at what I do. Now, how can I best utilize the things I do? And so in doing that, you bring confidence in knowing, okay, I can throw my fastball to both sides of the plate. Like, that's a weapon in itself. Now you have the changeup. But when it came for me, like in establishing a cutter and a curveball, it became, don't worry as much about like making it nasty and trying to make it spin the most and have the latest break and all this types of stuff, because the hitters will always tell you how good it is. If analytics and the TrackMan and all the numbers tell you, it's below average, but you go up there and guys are constantly swinging and missing and just taking bad swings and doing that type of stuff, like, which one are you going to choose, like the numbers or the reality? So that was always frustrating, and knowing, like, just because a pitch on paper doesn't say it's good doesn't mean it's not actually good in the game. And we see that all the time.
Especially nowadays,
nowadays we see it all the time with guys, like, and they make you feel like, oh, it needs to be better in this, but it's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, this guy is 0 for 10 with 6 Ks, and he has not yet, hit my cutter or whatever it is. Yeah, it might not be great, but it seems to be pretty good. So through that process, it's believing and just knowing the consistency and seeing the results. Okay, it's getting people out. There's success there. Build off of that grip. Build off of the release point, the ways to get it better, to be more consistent, because once you can find something that you've seen has worked, well, there's no resting on it. You got to continue to make sure you can throw it to not just to one side of the plate, to the both sides of the plate, or to do those types of things. But more than anything, have an idea of what you're trying to accomplish. Like, you don't have to have a curveball and to be able to backdoor it, front door it, throw it back foot, throw it for strikes. Like, figure out what it is you're trying to accomplish. Like, for me, I know my curveball is not the best in the league, but I know I could throw it for a strike, and it's a pitch in my arsenal that I could throw it in an account where the guy's seen everything except my curveball and throw him something different. Like, I know you had posted that Machado bat way back when.
Ooh,
I threw
yeah.
I threw that it was like a 2-1 curveball or something, and I threw a pretty good one, and that's the last thing he thought was coming because that's like my fourth best pitch. So I guess what I'm saying is don't get so wrapped up in trying to be able to make a pitch do 4 different things. Pick one really good thing, maybe 2, and focus on those things. And I've seen countless pitchers who've done that and have been successful because they don't overcomplicate things. They pick what they're really good at, and they become great at them, and it's really hard to defend against that.
Hey guys, your host here again, interrupting your show to talk about J-Bands. If you're interested in purchasing a set of J-Bands, head on over to the show notes at therobbyrowshow.com/085. And you scroll down on that page and you'll find a all baseball product discount option. You'll click that, head over to a page where you'll see all of the products and tools that I utilize that will benefit you in your development. And you'll also get a discount code. So go check that out at the show notes, and let's get back to the show.
Yeah, I got to link that. I got to link that post in the show notes for those of you guys who are listening. Check out the show notes and see that, because that was a really good. That was a really good post. I don't want to take all the credit. Obviously, you were out there, but like just seeing like, hey, this was the mistake, and maybe I tried to do a little bit too much and try to be sexy because me specifically, know how you get sometimes. And then like that next at bat, like just honing in on, okay, this is what I need to do, and identifying that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's been my whole early career is been about trying to make pitches do things they're not supposed to do.
Yeah, you're a perfectionist.
Yeah, and you just make things way harder. Like if you're nasty back foot, a guy knows a back foot slider's coming, but if you establish the fastball on the other plate, like it's just impossible to pick it up if you're tunneling it the right way or whatever terms people are using these days. Like it's just all about how you set things up.
What are the kids saying these days, man?
What are you saying?
Yeah, right. Speaking of kids, go ahead and go to your MLB app and look at the Padres box score right now versus the Marlins. I don't want to say it.
Okay.
Oh, I guess you're on your phone right now, huh?
No, that's on the iPad. Oh, snap.
Hey, you.
Oh, this guy. You love him.
Dude. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to get him on the pod, but I think he needs to respond to a DM first.
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually faced him in the box twice.
So that's what I was going to get to a little bit later on, but we'll dive into it right now. Earlier, you mentioned something about like crazy deceptive pitchers and you not liking to face those guys. Yeah. Who are some of the guys that stick out as far as like the guys you hate facing?
Well, there's one guy in particular. He's a reliever for the Giants. He, I think his name is like Murata or something. He's
I don't know that one.
He's a Hispanic pitcher. He kind of has a similar build to Pablo Sandoval. He throws up to 100, and if you look him up and watch him pitch, he's third base side. He's like psycho, like herky jerky, and he's across his body at 98 to 100. And I just remember in that game, I got that hit that first at bat, and then he came up maybe it was my second at bat, and my third at bat he came in. And I saw the warm-up pitches, and I stepped in for the first pitch, and I looked back at Buster Posey, who I know a little bit just from Florida State connections. I just remember being like, Buster, that is absolutely terrifying. And he goes, yeah, it's not very easy to pick up. And then he throws. I mean, because it's almost like you have no idea where he's going to throw it. Like the release point is not even in the realm of the direction he's aiming, but he finds in the strike zone, and it's so hard for me as a pitcher to like who doesn't hit all the time to trust like a guy who's at the major league level to throw the strike. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so,
I know exactly what you mean.
It's just it's a slippery slope.
If I said his name, would you know it?
Yeah.
All right. So was he a righty or a lefty?
He's a righty.
Okay.
It's like number 50 something, maybe.
I'm on
my phone right now.
Maranta.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Okay, so he's 5'11". He's only 26. I'm old. All right, I got to do a breakdown on this dude.
Dude, I mean, it's funky.
I love that
stuff. But I know we're just on Paddock, but he's tricky. He's tough to hit because he's a big guy, and he's got a very smooth, easy delivery. And so the ball, like his fastball, I don't know if does it spin fast or high or something.
No, so he doesn't have like high spin, but he's got extremely good like efficiency, right? So like,
okay,
I think that's why.
It's got good ride on it. Yeah, it like when the ball's up, it's just hard to get your bat to there. You kind of just get beat by it, and then when it's down, it kind of has that little bit of that ride where it sticks to the bottom of the zone.
Yeah.
But that changeup's kind of the equalizer. Like it's
it's
kind of it's not like a crazy big moving pitch, so to speak. It's just seems like he's pulling a string, like it's just never getting there. And so with such a good fastball and how it kind of jumps, it's just hard to separate the two sometimes, and being able to be timed up for both of them. At least for me.
He's like very similar to you though, in a sense, right? Because like, I mean, personally, I'm not trying to like dog on the guy. Obviously, he's a really good pitcher, but like his curveball's not like great. I think it's more of like a show me offering.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's fastball changeup, you know, but like his curveball, even though it's not good, it allows him like a ton more freedom, you know, because guys still got to respect that.
Especially when he throws at the top of the zone. He drops that big hook at the top, and then he throws that fastball. Like it's just that on the same planes and stuff like that.
Is that something that you've incorporated? Because I know when we played together, you didn't really do it all too much, but like use all four quadrants, like up and up and in, away, up and away, like stuff like that. Because I kind of like always thought you were more of like got to throw it down at the knees, in, out, in, out.
Yeah, well, baseball, you got all the launch angle swings now, so everybody's throwing it up. Like it's just that's part of it. But I think more than anything, you get these scouting reports, and guys have the quadrants, the hot and cold zones. They have their spots that they don't hit well, and they do hit well. So like you start to find these four quadrants, and you start to hit them, and you throw up and in, up and away. Like that's kind of the purpose behind it. It's just all based off of strengths and weaknesses. And so like if a guy's a good down ball hitter, like look, it's okay to miss like up in the zone as long as you're coming with coming with your good stuff. And it's a pop up, you beat them, or you hopefully get a swing and miss.
Would you say like, because I remember watching a couple of your games this year, and like it looked like your fastball was playing up pretty well. Because I think it's like mechanical deception for you though. It's like I know I talk a lot about like pitch profile deception of like what their ball is doing in flight to create a little bit of deception based on whether the spin is like spinning fast or spinning really efficient. For you, I think it's like mechanical deception, right? Like you're kind of across your body, long stride, your freaking follow through is all goofy, weird, but like your ball actually has like a little bit of ride, wouldn't you say?
I think so. At least from the feedback I've gotten, like guys have mentioned that. I think my spin is above average, slightly above average, and as far as a four seam goes. Also, so I think being the low to the ground too. I think you know that better than most people on how that maybe that deception, that plane of throwing up, it just kind of has that rise. But that's just, we talked about the numbers and stuff. Sometimes you get bad numbers, but your mechanics, your funkiness, your what you do on the mound creates different, just different looks. And it's like, oh, your pitch stinks. Well, it's like, does it really? Because the results speak above your numbers. And so I think it's hard to like go out and try to like, oh, I'm going to be a funky guy. Like a lot of guys just have that natural what is it? Quirkiness.
Quirkiness. I don't know how to spell it. I think I know how to say it.
Yeah, it's like Quirk, maybe Quirk.
It's like wiry. How do you spell wiry?
Wiry. WIRE. It's going wiry. But yeah, like you don't go out and try to make yourself deceptive. Like you just kind of take what you got, and then you just. That's why it's always good to know. Like you ask these guys who are advanced and the analytics and different things like that. And if you're at lower levels, you just ask hitters that are on your team, maybe friends you've played against, and you're just, what makes me efficient? Like, what makes me hard to hit? What makes me easy to hit? Like, ask those questions. And the feedback from hitters more than anything is going to give you the answer. So, like, pitching against the D-backs and coming over here and playing against them, I have hitters asking me, hey, like, when you pitched against me, like, what was your thought process? Like, how are you trying to get me out? Like, some of our best players were asking me that. And then, like, I have conversations with guys about, like, oh, when I faced you, like, what was your thought process? Like, what were you seeing? Like, so that dialect between players is always the most useful information.
Yeah, dude. And that's like, honestly, I kind of perceive that as that being the separator, right? Because, maybe as an individual, like, obviously my audience is more centered towards like high school, college, maybe ball players. And it comes down to like, how bad do you want to identify your strengths and weaknesses, right? Like if you're going to be the guy that's just sitting in absolute comfort, right? Like not telling your guy to get in the box when you're throwing a bullpen, or not telling someone to stand in during a flat ground to, get some reads on me so I can better understand, what he's seeing. I think it goes hand in hand with like, how bad do you want to know that? How bad do you want to be good at your craft? Like there's maybe things that are potentially uncomfortable, right? Like talking to a teammate, that's like, hey, what'd you think about this at bat? Or what'd you think about that? It's like the next level stuff that maybe we don't always talk about or think about, but, guys in the big leagues are doing it. And that's why they're probably there, taking that extra step, going that extra mile and understanding that stuff.
Absolutely. I'm dying to know why a guy is 6 for 10 with 3 home runs off of me. It's like, dude, just tell me, like, what are you
Who owns
seeing?
you? Who owns you?
Who owns me? I don't know. I think it's different now. Well, the Cubs own me. Their whole entire team. I would love to ask them, like, what the heck are you guys seeing? Because they've got their game plan down to a T. But I don't know. I think switching divisions and stuff like that has made it harder to kind of figure that out. Like, I definitely can remember some home runs here and there, but as far as being owned, there's definitely people out there. I think Buster Posey's like got some definitely on the higher end.
That's not like a terrible guy though. I mean, like.
No. I mean, they're like I've struck him out like maybe 3 times, but he's also got probably like 5 hits. So
I went to that game when you pitched there. That was like in 2016.
Oh yeah, that was like I think I struck out the first 4 batters.
Yeah, that was unreal.
To start the game, I was like, man, this is going to be a good game. And then couple things happened, and then like maybe like an error was mixed in there, and I just kind of like crumbled, and I ended up coming out of the game decently early. But
definitely a poor showing after that.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for the tickets. We'll just say I left a little bit early.
Okay.
I was sitting you're next to Olivia, your now wife, and I didn't know like how she was gonna take it, and she was great. She was like kind of like pissed off like for you. I thought she was like an airhead, but she was like in it. I was like, oh, that's dope.
Yeah. Oh, what the heck?
Yeah. Come on, Steven. Oh, dude. So we're through 7 now. Through 7.
7 what?
If you wanted to know what that means, I can't say it on the air, but if you want to look at the box.
Oh, yeah. I actually pulled it up. I'm watching it live.
So See, I wish I could do that, but I'm afraid my Wi-Fi is going to cut out, and then I'll lose you.
I gotcha.
I'm grinding
Well,
on low-level college Wi-Fi right now.
Well, the last inning, he went deep fly out to the warning track in center, and then fly out, and then he down right field line, and Renfroe made a nice running catch. So he's got his defense working a little bit.
How do you like playing there?
Where?
Petco.
Oh, well, they're playing in Miami, so that's why I asked. But
Don't be it.
Petco is one of the best trips in my mind. Just the whole setup. The hotel is connected to the field, so you can take a third floor like railway into the stadium. So you can leave and go over there. There's no bus.
Wow.
The field's really nice. Like, it's got cool character to it. The weather is obviously great. You got the water where you can ride like one of those cool bird scooters like up and down the water and see like the Navy ships and stuff. And then there's just a bunch of good restaurants. So like no one ever complains about that trip. And I can see why Machado decided to sign there.
Do you where would you put San Francisco in your top list of places to play?
I would say it's up there. I think it's a little too crazy for me as far as like the downtown hotel area.
Yeah.
But as far as the field, like I think that's up there. I think that's most guys' like favorite trip. It's just a cool like on the bay. Like day games are always nice. The night games get a little cold and hectic, I think, as you know. But it's just a cool spot. I think the NL West is definitely a great place because Colorado is definitely different. Pitching there is a toss-up, and you never know what you're going to get, whether you're going to get an 18-0 or you're going to get a 1-0 ball game. But I think LA's Dodger Stadium is a historic place. It's LA as far as the congestion and all that is a little too much for me, more than San Francisco, but can't complain about it for sure.
Yeah, I don't like, dude, that's just, I get like anxiety with traffic and too much people, and I don't know, I guess because
dude, it's like
small town.
It's like people are on top of you and there's just like so much traffic. Like, yeah, we're both on the same boat. Like, for me, I want like the outdoors. I want like woods and grass and neighbors
and a skateboard.
a mile away. Yeah, skateboard, a bike, a dirt bike, all those things. And I don't want to like walk in the concrete jungle, so to speak.
It's so funny too, because like I would have never pegged you as a guy that's your typical, like that's the scenario you want.
Yeah, get some waves, dude.
I thought, yeah, like my mom still talks about it to this day. Like, I always thought Steven was a surfer boy from California. I was like, yeah, Mom.
Yeah, I'm definitely a beach guy. Like, I love all that. Boogie boarding's definitely top priority. I mean, surfing's always been in the cards. It's just not surf? Something. No, I wouldn't say well. I haven't really ever gotten into it. I would like to, I think, but that restricts kind of the baseball aspect. But I'm not really near the beach as far as like if it was 5-10 minutes away, I'd be all over it. But growing up, it was always like 30-35 minutes. So
yeah, I don't like beach, man. I'm not a beach guy.
I'd rather I'd rather be doing the lake and like trying to like wakeboard and kneeboard and like, fish and drag you through the water on a rope and remember that?
No, I don't. I never no. I never
Yes, you do.
Dude, that was well, you know why that day is sensitive to me, right? I mean, the next day I got released. That was that was
a good day to like, I mean, we had a good time, and then obviously,
you're going with that.
If you're gonna go out, that was the way to go out with your friends and a great time.
That was a really fun day. Speaking of that day, Ponce is having a good year.
Yeah, he's getting some chances to pitch, and he's talking about Ponce de Leon. to the people who don't know. But
it's funny, like he changed his last name and he doesn't wear glasses anymore. He's like a different person. I sent him a screenshot of like the game, like they had a good like camera angle of his follow through, and I sent him the screenshot. I was like, dude, how do you even get into like positions like this when you throw a baseball? Like he was like, one leg was freaking up above his head, and like his hand was like on his right scap. Like, how the heck do you do that, dude? But it's so funny. Remember, like when we all got introduced to each other, like he was all about having like a sinking fastball. He's like, I got so much sink, and now he's got literally one of the comparatively to other four-seam fastballs as far as data analytics go, he's got like one of the truer four-seam fastballs. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it blows people's doors off with it. By the way, the no-hitter's just been broken up.
Dude, is that on you?
Why?
I don't know. Was it the leadoff hitter or the eighth?
Yeah, Homer.
Oh,
he missed with a fastball, basically slightly off the middle in.
So that was like with Flaherty's. Did you see his outing where he had like a no-no going into the seventh?
Yeah,
it was like, the same thing. And it sucks, man. If it's a home run, it's like I didn't never really think of it like this, but if you're having a no-no, and you give up a home run like that, it's the shutty's gone, like no-no's gone, like there's
everything's gone.
Everything, man. That sucks. Might as well just give up a single, man. Like, why can't we all just do that? Oh, dude. Do you want to hear a funny story?
You're going to tell it anyways.
You're 100% right. But, so, it's these past 2 and then 2 more days in the future from today. Whoa, said that weird. Here in Omaha, Nebraska, is like we're in a huge heat wave. So it's like 100 degrees with like 700% humidity, and everyone's dying, right? So my AC decides to break. So like I don't have an AC. So it's literally 86 degrees in my room right now, and I'm losing gains, and I feel like you.
So you feel confident, ripped, and athletic?
Dude, speaking of ripped, I didn't know if I wanted to say this on the show or not, but like I got to send you a shirtless mirror pic here pretty soon. Because, dude, you're going to be like, what happened to you? And I'm going to be like, yo, I juggle all the time now.
You juggle, you have a big beard, and you keto out the yin-yang.
Oh, I'm not keto anymore, man.
You're not?
No. I
guess I noticed that with all the weird stuff you've been eating.
Yeah, I can't gain weight on it because like I'm hoping to throw here pretty soon, and like I'm literally 210. I haven't been this weight since high school, so I need to pack it on, dude.
Why is that a bad thing?
Wait, why is what a bad thing?
Being at that weight, and why do you have to be big?
Because every time I've been lighter in my career, I throw freaking 80 poo.
Yeah, but you've never been this, like, well put together as far as diet and different things like that, right?
Well, I mean, unless you count McDonald's Happy Meals in high school being well put together, then you're wrong.
Yeah, but you're not doing that now. You went through a whole keto process and working hard at what you're doing.
I'm definitely more intentional with like nutrition and really just overall like health optimization. Like, I mean, you'll see, dude. Once you get to a certain point in your life as far as age goes, all you want to do is like you just want to feel good. You know, like the performance aspect is great. Like, yeah, I need to do this and that to maybe throw harder or whatever. But it sucks rolling out of bed in the morning, like freaking joints hurting, freaking grinding to get to like a hot shower or a cold shower or something because you're old but you're young still, so you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where that went, but that's cool. Another funny story is I didn't eat my second steak because of you.
Oh wow! Well, you're just gonna have to throw that back on the grill.
It's literally still on the grill. It's just the grill's off. Hey, do you have a putting green at your house?
Yeah.
Did you put that in, or did it come?
No, it came with, I'm renting the house, and it came with a putting green.
Are you planning on buying a house out there, or are you going to stick with the one in Florida?
Florida.
Why?
Yeah,
Just because family?
Yeah, and I think we already talked about what I prefer, and so doing a season. I mean, I understand like spring training, same spot during the season, like it might be ideal, but I always felt like if you were gonna get a place to live in your career, like you would need to get to a certain point in that career.
Sure.
And financially or whatever any of that is. And so I don't feel like it's to that point yet.
Oh, yeah. Well, you were the one earlier complaining about the movie ticket being $4 more, so you couldn't go. So, yeah.
Well,
I
I went anyways, all right? So.
Hey, real quick, I realize it's getting late for me. What is it over there, 6:21 or is it 7:21 where you're at?
6.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. But I want to talk a little bit about like where you're at in your rehab process. Like, has the injury that you suffered like taken longer than expected, or is it everything like going good? Like, where's your mindset at with that?
Everything's been good. You know, obviously, you always assume quicker and, you know, getting back earlier and doing these things. But, you know, I'm just staying the course, just trying to really keep a solid mental, or I should say mentality, just trying to – I think the biggest thing I have a problem with is you go to the field, you do your things, especially when the team's on the road, and you're trying to figure out what you can do. Like, what are things I can do to buy time and, you know, reading and, you know, going to see a movie and spending time with family and just different things like that. And then you get to a point where you're like, man, now I've looked into, you know, what it takes to be a personal trainer, what it takes to be a construction flagger, to the nutritionist, you know, biomechanics, what else? Boating, wine. Like, your mind just freaking goes to a different place. And I know you do a lot of this stuff, and that's kind of where yours is, but I don't have that. So I'm telling you, I'm kind of just trying to find. I might start going to cooking classes or something like that. I don't know.
You could never cook, dude. I mean, maybe it's a good idea.
You don't know that. I've got the will.
Dude, you're the guy that does the meal service. I mean, do you still do the meal service? You do?
No, we actually have a grocery delivery service.
Oh my gosh, dude! You're such a big leaguer.
Well, it was a present, all right.
I looked into working for them.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, I was like looking at like, you know, Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Postmates, Grubhub, all those things.
Imagine walking up to the door and you're there. Hello, sir. Here's your food. Want to do a fuzzy?
Do you think they would just like be scared or walk away and then give me their food? Probably.
If you came in straight bald with as big of a beard as you have and it being red, I think there would be a slight hesitation at answering the door.
Like if they saw it out through the peephole, they were like, "Nah, this guy."
I'm actually not that hungry anymore, so.
I know I said last thing earlier, but now that I want to talk, since we're on that rehab process, because I know I speak from like, I can, you know, speak from personal experience as well, but like, how have you kind of remained, obviously being, you know, Bible believing Christian, how have you remained strong in your faith through like difficult circumstances, you know, obviously like with the injury process happening?
Yeah, great question. I mean, it's tough because, like I said, I'm going crazy with kind of all these things I've already mentioned and trying to figure out where to put my attention to. But the one thing that's always consistent is the Bible and reading and just growing in my faith and being able to stay in tune with that, because that everything else stems through that, and it makes the day-to-day grind of is not of a big deal as it might seem, or as maybe a tough day at the park where things didn't go well. So there's always that reliance on the Bible and God's word, and being able to trust in that process and what he has for you. And I think a big thing is taking a step back and realizing, okay, why am I in this position? Like, we always ask about, like, why did this happen to me and do these things? But a huge one I've taken away from this process is, I'm having a kid, obviously, or that, but I'm having a kid. And during this time that I would be away a good bit, and a wife that is essentially vulnerable, and by herself, and just needing, the partner through this process that's kind of scary, and it's new and it's different, and just being supportive with her and being able to see her grow through that process is, and becoming a mom, and just kind of the cool things of how, a baby's kicking and doing those kind of cool things. Like, and she thinks I'm freaked out because every time baby kicks, I'm like, whoa.
I'd be freaked. Dude, there's a freaking human being in her.
Exactly. Like, you see, like, the stomach just, like, almost like trying to punch through, like, let me get out of here. It's really fascinating. But that's just one major thing, is just kind of being, grateful for those situations, and being able to spend time with my wife and see her through this process and be there for her instead of being away playing a game. I think God's got me there for a reason, and being able to support her through that. And also, we always look at things can always be worse than they are. And for me, like, catching something like this, even though it's kind of tedious and time seems to drag on, the bigger picture is like, hey, like, my injury could have been much worse, and I could have been out for a lot longer. So you always try to find the positives, and just thank God for knowing that it could always be a lot worse than it is.
Yeah, no, amen. Dude, like, the biggest thing for me throughout, like, this whole process is obviously, like, no one, like, wishes or hopes for, these injuries or whatever circumstance that you're dealt with in the game of baseball, because, obviously we both know how the game is so, you just never know what's going to happen. But I think through the process, for me personally, it's like, it's taught me that, like, the word is fact. Like, it's absolute. Like, that's never going to change. It's a constant. You know what I mean? And I think we put, as ball players or as athletes, like, we put so much faith into, like, trying everything in our power to control the circumstances in our careers. And for me, like I said, personally, it's God showing me, constantly, like, hey, look how easy it was for me to just kind of take this away for a second. Like, you need to put a little bit more emphasis on, what in life is an absolute, and I think you find that obviously in the Word of God, and that's always going to be there, rather than the game or anything in life, a job or, a relationship or whatever it is. Like, that's kind of just every single day up in the air. You don't really know the outcome. And I think
absolutely
the beauty of it.
Well, we're thankful in a sport that, like, we invest so much into, and it's basically our livelihood. That's just what we've always done. And then you take that away, and you basically say, hey, I'm going to pull you away from it in order to focus on this thing. Like, people don't, for the most part, in normal, everyday jobs, and, the 9-to-5s or whatever that may be for people, like, you don't just get pulled away from your work. Like, you don't get to, like, hey, I'm not going to work for, 2 months or, a year in your case. And it's like, there's that steady grind they go through, and their outcome looks a little bit different than ours. But it becomes tough in our world, because when you get yanked away from what you're doing every single day, then you're trying to realize, like, where's my identity? Like, where's my focus at? And then that's where God's telling us, like, look, you need to take a step back and open up your eyes a little bit better and focus on these areas. And that's just where other people gotta to open up their eyes and figure out, okay, though I'm in a different profession, like, stay in the Word, keep an open mind, keep your eyes open, and see where those flaws are, see where you're kind of veering off, and making sure you get back on track. So it's always trying to identify those things.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. You hit it on the head with the identity, right? Like, I know, my story is like, there's been so many times throughout my career and my life in general is like my identity's been wrapped up in the game. And therefore, like, any time that the game would kind of waver, which is often, as far as like having success or having, failing or being hurt or being on an all-time high, like there's so many ups and downs. That's like kind of the way that your personality is too. Your identity is wrapped up in something that's so unconstant, and I think, you and I have talked multiple times in the past about how you put an identity in Christ that, again, like I alluded to earlier, is an absolute, like it's fact, like it doesn't waver. It's constant. It's going to be there. And if you can just get to that point, and I know I say this and it's, I say it to make it almost sound like it's easy, because obviously it's hard. Like as Christians, like we know that it's a hard thing to do, is have that identity in Christ each and every day. Like wake up and know who you are, know what you live for, and know how you're going to approach every kind of, I guess, circumstance, knowing that, you're a Christian. And I think that's like the biggest disconnect, like for me in my past, was like, even like throughout this injury process, I'm not going to like sit here and lie. Like there's been multiple downs, because obviously as a baseball player, I want to frickin' play. And I think the more as time goes on, you get that itch more and more. You probably can attest to that as well. And it's frustrating, right? Like you kind of get that sense of being mad and, asking the why me? Like I work hard, I do the right things, like I pray, and then sometimes it just doesn't go your way. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
I know, right? We're weird though. I just listened to a song the other day. You might have heard it. It's called Jesus Freak, and it's like a rock rap song. Have you heard of it?
Interesting. I don't think so.
Dude, I'm like low key tempted to throw it on the walkout song.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like, what will people do when they find that it's true? And then it's like, I'm a Jesus freak. And it's like, kind of like gets you going a little bit. And you're like, yeah, shove it.
So they take the common, phrase of
perception,
people who are overbearing, who identify as Christian, who are overbearing, and they make a song out of it?
Yeah, sure. You polluted that, but sure.
That's just what the non-believer is going to call the Christian, who they feel like is, being very Christ-like in an overbearing way, or maybe just they're overwhelmed with the Holy Spirit. I'm not saying it's a negative term in any means from my standpoint. I'm just...
No, I think the way I honestly perceive that song is, I think the culture that we live in today, right, 2019, I think if you are a Christian, even like a high school kid or, a college kid that is a Christian, you're surrounded by so much, like, the word that comes to mind is like impurity, I guess, that it's so uncool to be a Christian, right? Like, how it was growing up, like not going to the party, not going out and drinking, not doing this, not doing that. How like people just look at you differently, Yeah. And the way I perceive that song, in all seriousness, is like, yo, call me what you want, but like, this is who I am. Like, I don't care. And it's that mentality of like, I don't really care about overall perception from other human beings, because that's
not conforming to the world.
Yeah. Would you ever get a tattoo?
I've always said if I gained 20 pounds and I was ripped, and I would go full like arm sleeve.
Did you just say that you're not ripped?
Well, 20 pounds and ripped. So like 20 pounds could not be like, it could make me sloppy. So I'm just saying, like, to make sure I was still ripped. Not to say I am ripped. I'm a skinny guy. Like, it kind of comes with the territory. But
are you still able to like eat whatever you want, not gain weight?
Yeah, but I'm more like, I've always kind of been focused on like eating good, but also like knowing it's okay. And so like I wouldn't necessarily like my breakfast, like I'm eating like avocado toast and egg whites and bacon and different things. Like it's not like French toast galore or red velvet pancakes from IHOP.
I'll sit on my
Please. So
dude, I rode by
there's a
IHOP
balance.
the other day and I was like, oh dude. Yeah.
I've looked it up a time or two. I
So
won't lie.
where are you staying? Are you in Phoenix or Scottsdale?
Scottsdale, over like by the quarter, Scottsdale quarter.
Oh, you're in a good spot.
Yeah, there's nice places to eat, some grab and go places, and then and then you can go the other way, and you got like Paradise Valley kind of area with some stuff, and everything's about 20-25 minutes like from both fields.
Yeah. Well, dude, speaking of food, I'm going to get up and get that other steak down. So we're going to conclude this. I was really hoping we were going to get to 2 hours, to be honest with you, but I'm like starving. But I think we surpassed Steven, stop. I think we surpassed the time of the first one, though. 140, 141. Almost 2 hours total on the call, though. Spent about 40 minutes.
Yeah, because you want to talk beforehand, and that always adds time. So.
Hey, thank you for coming on, man. I wish you the best. Obviously, I wish you the best in every endeavor that you embark on. Wow, that sounded cool.
That sounded fancy.
And then, dude, you're going to need the luck on being a father, too. So, yeah, definitely there. And what else do I got? I got nothing for you, man. Thanks for coming on. I'm sure we'll be in touch.
For sure. Thank you for the pleasant time. It's always a great honor to be on the Robby Row Show. And you tell Flaherty that I'm ready for the three-way podcast to let it eat.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Robby Row Show. If you have yet to subscribe, please do so. And if you want to leave me a written review, that'd be freaking sweet. Yeah. Like I said, the show notes can be found therobbyrowshow.com/085. You'll see a couple things linked in there that was talked about in today's episode, as well as the baseball companies that I've partnered with to provide you guys with a discount. All right, guys. Much love. God bless. Until next time, I'm out.